If you're over 60 and experiencing burning feet, numb toes, electric shock sensations, tingling, or unsteady balance, these are not simply normal signs of aging. They result from gradual changes inside your body that have accumulated slowly over many years. Most people hear that peripheral neuropathy means the nerves just wear out with age, like an old car that slowly loses performance. Others are told it's genetic and nothing can be done. The usual message, whether stated outright or implied, is to manage the pain and accept that the condition will steadily worsen. What is rarely explained is that nerves do not fail without cause. They respond to the chemical environment surrounding them, to blood flow, and to the metabolic signals they receive every day. When that environment becomes harmful, nerves suffer damage. When it becomes more supportive, nerves can often maintain far more function than most expect. Peripheral neuropathy is not one disease. It is a pattern of nerve damage. It occurs when the peripheral nerves, the long pathways linking the brain and spinal cord to the rest of the body, begin to malfunction. These nerves transmit signals for sensation, movement, balance, temperature, and pain. Because they are extremely long and demand high energy, they are especially vulnerable to issues such as unstable blood sugar, poor circulation, inflammation, and nutrient deficiencies. That explains why symptoms typically start in the feet and hands, the farthest points from the heart, most reliant on tiny blood vessels. Key point: nerve damage builds silently for a long time before symptoms appear. For years, even decades, nerves endure steady but invisible metabolic stress with no obvious warning. In this quiet phase, damage piles up. Proteins in nerve fibers change shape, blood vessels stiffen, the protective coating thins, and electrical signals slow or become imprecise. The nervous system compensates for a while, hiding the early problems. By the time burning, numbness, or unsteadiness shows up, the damage is already considerable. This long delay is why neuropathy often feels abrupt and unjust, even though it develops step by step. In many cases, a central cause is a group of compounds known as advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These form when glucose molecules permanently bind to proteins and fats in the body. The binding is not benign. It alters the structure and function of those tissues. Once formed, AGEs are difficult to clear and accumulate over time. They particularly damage tissues that require flexibility, precise signaling, and healthy microcirculation, making peripheral nerves a primary target. To see why AGEs are so important, consider the process at the molecular level. Glucose is vital fuel, but it is also chemically reactive. When blood sugar remains elevated for extended periods, glucose molecules bump into proteins more frequently. Under certain conditions, this leads to permanent, stiff, sticky crosslinks, much like sugar caramelizing when heated during cooking. In the body, the process is slow and ongoing, when glucose control is less than optimal. The outcome is tissue that is less flexible, less efficient, and more inflammation-prone. Within peripheral nerves, AGEs strike three critical areas simultaneously. They modify the nerve fibers themselves, interfering with proteins essential for accurate electrical signals. They injure the myelin sheath, the fatty insulation that enables rapid, smooth signal conduction. Damaged myelin slows, weakens, or distorts signals. They impair the small blood vessels, capillaries, that deliver oxygen and nutrients to the nerves. When these tiny vessels stiffen or narrow, nerves become chronically undernourished and weakened. This three-way assault accounts for the range of symptoms: burning pain from overactive, irritated fibers, numbness from missing signals, tingling from erratic firing, weakness from faulty muscle commands, and balance issues from unreliable sensory input to the brain. Symptoms vary in mix and severity, but the core mechanism is frequently the same, a fact many overlook. Fasting blood sugar tests provide only a partial view. People with neuropathy are often told their glucose is normal, because fasting readings stay within reference ranges. Yet fasting captures only the daily low, not the harmful peaks. The highest risk for age formation happens after meals, when blood sugar climbs and remains elevated for hours. Repeated post-meal spikes fuel nerve damage across many years. With age, the body grows less effective at removing glucose from the blood. Muscle mass declines, insulin sensitivity falls, and sugar lingers longer after eating. This does not mean aging itself directly causes neuropathy. It means aging decreases metabolic resilience. Combined with typical modern habits, frequent snacking, late-night meals, and processed foods, it creates perfect conditions for age accumulation. Vitamin B12 plays another vital role. It supports healthy myelin, aids DNA synthesis in nerve cells, and helps eliminate toxic byproducts. B12 absorption commonly drops with age and is further impaired by medications such as acid blockers and metformin. Low B12 removes a key protective mechanism, allowing damage to advance rather than being repaired. Routine blood tests can miss functional B12 deficiency. Levels may read normal, yet still be inadequate for nerve requirements. This discrepancy puts many at risk without their knowledge. By the time symptoms emerge, the deficiency may have persisted for years. Dietary ages represent another frequently ignored factor. Ages form inside the body, but also in food. High-heat cooking techniques, grilling, frying, roasting, browning, generate substantial preformed ages. These are absorbed and add to the body's total burden. Even with solid blood sugar management, certain cooking practices can hasten tissue damage. Switching to gentler, lower heat methods, steaming, poaching, slow cooking, markedly reduces dietary age intake. Once damage starts, inflammation worsens the situation. Ages activate immune pathways that sustain chronic nerve irritation. This explains why symptoms frequently intensify at night, when circulation slows and inflammatory signals linger. It also accounts for how neuropathy disrupts sleep, setting up a vicious cycle. Poor sleep aggravates insulin resistance, elevates stress hormones, and amplifies next-day glucose spikes, producing more ages and inflammation, further harming sleep. Movement is among the most powerful ways to break this cycle. Muscles remove glucose from the blood after meals. Even brief walks can significantly reduce post-meal sugar levels. The primary benefit is not weight loss or vigorous exercise. It is better metabolic regulation. Consistent movement lowers the building blocks for ages and improves nerve blood flow. Muscle strength is also important. Muscle loss diminishes glucose clearance capacity. Gentle resistance training preserves muscle, bolsters metabolism, and indirectly safeguards nerves. This advantage is often undervalued because it develops slowly, without immediate relief. Hydration aids blood flow and metabolic clearance. Dehydration thickens blood, impairs capillary circulation, and concentrates glucose. Many older adults drink less without realizing it, quietly raising nerve vulnerability. Steady fluid intake enhances vascular health with little effort. Stress affects neuropathy via hormones. Chronic stress increases cortisol, which raises blood sugar and fosters insulin resistance. Stress by itself does not cause neuropathy, but it aggravates the metabolic conditions that injure nerves. Basic stress reduction practices ease this load and promote stability. One of the most damaging beliefs about neuropathy is that progression is unavoidable. This belief discourages effort and fosters passive acceptance of decline. While badly damaged nerves may not fully regain function, many partially affected nerves can stabilize and perform better in a healthier environment. People commonly report less pain, improved balance, better sleep, and enhanced quality of life once new damage slows or halts. The aim is not perfection, it is protection. Every hour of stable blood sugar is an hour free from chemical assault on nerves. Each improved night of sleep supports repair. Each drop in inflammation enhances signaling. Over time, these modest gains build up, just as the earlier losses did. Peripheral neuropathy is not solely a nerve disorder. It is a metabolic disorder that manifests first in nerves. Seeing it this way transforms it from an inevitable destiny into something you can influence. The emphasis shifts from symptom management alone to addressing root causes. This delivers no miracles, but something more dependable, genuine influence over the process. And that influence matters enormously. As people grasp that peripheral neuropathy arises from prolonged metabolic stress, not abrupt nerve failure, a key insight often emerges. The nervous system does not operate in isolation. It is intimately linked to many other body systems. Blood vessels, muscles, hormones, the immune system, and even the gut all influence whether nerves remain healthy or weaken. This explains why neuropathy seldom appears alone. It typically comes with fatigue, sleep disturbances, digestive changes, balance problems, or mild brain fog. These are not unrelated issues. They are different expressions of the same underlying imbalance. One commonly missed factor is persistently elevated blood sugar after meals, even when it never reaches a diabetes diagnosis. Many spend years in this intermediate zone. Glucose rises too high and lingers too long after eating, yet standard tests appear normal. During this period, ages accumulate silently. Without a clear label, people assume all is well. But neuropathy requires no official diagnosis. Nerves respond to the chemical surroundings, not to lab cutoffs. Efficient glucose clearance relies heavily on muscles. After eating, insulin directs muscles to absorb and store sugar. When muscle mass declines, as it naturally does with age unless maintained, this mechanism becomes less effective. Glucose remains in the blood longer, increasing glycation. This is a major reason neuropathy risk grows with age. Even among those who remain slim and look healthy, they may have lost considerable muscle without resistance training. This muscle-glucose link also demonstrates why regular activity powerfully protects nerves, even without major diet changes. Short post-meal walks reduce the magnitude and duration of sugar spikes. Over months and years, this translates to fewer ages, reduced inflammation, and improved nerve blood supply. The impact begins modestly, but grows profoundly over time. It targets the root cause more directly than symptom-focused treatments. The vascular system lies at the heart of the picture. Nerves depend on a fragile network of tiny vessels highly susceptible to glycation and oxidative stress. Ages stiffen vessel walls, decrease nitric oxide, which promotes vessel relaxation and dilation, and restrict essential blood flow. This leads to chronic mild oxygen and nutrient shortage, especially in the longest nerves farthest from the heart. That is why feet are usually affected first, not because feet are inherently weak, but because they are farthest from the central blood supply. This circulatory issue also explains why symptoms often worsen in cold weather or at night, periods when circulation naturally decreases. It further explains why a history of smoking raises risk so significantly. Vessel damage persists for years and compounds metabolic injury. Inflammation weaves through the entire process. Ages activate receptors that initiate inflammatory cascades. These heighten oxidative stress, impair mitochondria, the energy factories inside nerve cells, and worsen insulin resistance. Inflammation both results from damage and drives further damage, creating a self-reinforcing loop that can accelerate neuropathy once symptoms start, even without major lifestyle shifts. Sleep is a critical repair window. In deep sleep, inflammation subsides, insulin sensitivity improves, and growth factors support tissue maintenance and repair. When neuropathy interferes with sleep, this nightly recovery period shortens. Over time, poor sleep undermines metabolic control and hastens nerve damage. Due to this bidirectional relationship, even modest sleep gains can yield surprisingly large benefits. Late-night eating is especially damaging here. Food near bedtime elevates blood sugar when insulin sensitivity is naturally lower. This extends high glucose periods and disrupts overnight repair. Simply shifting the final meal earlier often improves sleep rapidly and gradually alleviates neuropathy symptoms. No new drugs or special diets needed, just timing aligned with natural body rhythms. Gut health also influences nerves. The digestive tract governs nutrient absorption, immune regulation, and systemic inflammation. Impaired gut function or chronic irritation can reduce uptake of crucial nutrients like B vitamins, magnesium, and others nerves depend on. It can also spark low-grade body-wide inflammation. Gut problems rarely cause neuropathy alone, but they elevate risk and hinder recovery. Enhancing gut health improves the overall nerve environment. The emotional dimension merits attention too. Persistent discomfort, uncertainty about progression, and fear of decline can produce anxiety or low mood. These states disrupt sleep, elevate stress hormones, and reduce self-care motivation. This forms another reinforcing cycle. Psychological, yet with tangible physical consequences. Breaking it requires compassion, support, realistic expectations, and release from self-blame. Not all neuropathy stems from metabolic issues. Autoimmune conditions, infections, toxins, chemotherapy, trauma, and some genetic disorders can also damage nerves. Yet even in those cases, metabolic health affects severity and progression speed. Stabilizing blood sugar, lowering inflammation, and supporting circulation offer protection, regardless of the initial cause. That is why these metabolic measures are foundational for nearly everyone. When individuals begin improving their metabolic environment, benefits usually emerge quietly and progressively. Pain may ease somewhat, sleep improves, balance feels steadier, some sensation or temperature awareness may return modestly. These shifts can be overlooked if dramatic turnaround is expected, but they are genuine, evidence that new damage is slowing and surviving nerves function better. Monitor progress over weeks and months, not day by day. Nerve repair is inherently slow. Metabolic changes require time to become visible. Good and bad days are expected. A single tough day does not erase prior progress. Longer trends provide a truer, more encouraging view. In advanced neuropathy, the primary objective becomes preservation. Halting further function loss can transform daily living. Reduced pain intensity, better sleep, and more reliable balance support ongoing independence. These gains are profoundly meaningful, even without complete sensation recovery. Medical oversight remains essential. Sudden changes or rapid worsening require immediate assessment to exclude other causes. Symptom relief medications should only be adjusted under physician guidance. Lifestyle measures complement medical care. They do not replace it. Ongoing research is reshaping our understanding of neuropathy. What was once viewed as an inevitable aging consequence is now recognized as a modifiable process influenced by lifestyle, metabolism, and overall health. Full reversal is not realistic for everyone, but many have considerably more control over their trajectory than previously thought. The most important change is perspective. Neuropathy does not merely happen. It develops within a particular internal environment. Alter that environment and you alter the outcome. Not instantly or totally, but meaningfully. Long-term neuropathy management relies more on steady small habits than on dramatic interventions. Nerves respond to consistent patterns, not sporadic excellence. One strong week followed by months of old routines achieves little. Yet modest positive changes sustained over years can redirect the course of decline. This may seem slow in a culture seeking instant fixes, but it aligns with how biology truly operates. Aging naturally introduces changes that heighten neuropathy risk. Insulin sensitivity decreases, mitochondria become less efficient, and low-grade inflammation gradually rises. These occur even in those who maintain healthy weight and appearance. They are subtle and easy to dismiss until symptoms finally surface. Recognizing this reframes neuropathy as the delayed outcome of small shifts accumulating over decades. Aging also weakens nerve-muscle connections. Motor neurons progressively retract from some muscle fibers, leaving muscles partly disconnected. Remaining neurons compensate, but capacity is limited. Over time, movement accuracy declines, balance becomes less precise, and nerve-to-muscle signals weaken. This raises fall risk and reduces activity, which accelerates muscle loss and metabolic decline. Foot care grows critically important as neuropathy progresses. Diminished sensation increases the chance of unnoticed injuries, ulcers, infections, or pressure sores. Daily foot checks become essential. Proper footwear, skin moisturizing, and watching for calluses, cracks, or nail changes help prevent serious complications. Many major disabilities tied to neuropathy actually stem from preventable foot issues overlooked due to lost sensation. Chronic pain also alters brain signal processing. Sensory, emotional, and attention regions can become hypersensitive, a phenomenon called central sensitization. This amplifies pain and reduces tolerance. Neuropathy care must therefore include methods to soothe the central nervous system. Practices such as slow, deep breathing, gentle mindfulness, or light movement can lessen perceived symptom severity, even when peripheral damage persists. Key nutrients that support nerve health deserve attention. Vitamin B12 deficiency can imitate or exacerbate neuropathy symptoms. Magnesium aids nerve signaling and muscle relaxation. Supplements should follow testing and medical advice, but understanding these links helps spot correctable factors. Hydration influences blood viscosity and flow. Mild chronic dehydration reduces microcirculation and oxygen delivery to nerves. Thirst sensation often weakens with age, raising risk. Regular, adequate fluid intake supports circulation with minimal effort. Social connections offer surprising benefits. Loneliness increases stress, impairs sleep, and lowers self-care motivation. Maintaining ties with family, friends, support groups, or community
bolsters emotional health, and indirectly enhances physical outcomes. Many find movement and healthy habits easier and more consistent when shared with others.
Fear of deterioration can subtly restrict choices. Some avoid activity to prevent pain or falls, but this actually hastens decline. Replacing fear with informed, cautious action is vital. Appropriately adapted exercise is far safer than total inactivity. Nerves benefit from gentle, regular stimulation. Inactivity signals the body that the area is no longer needed, lowering repair priority. Routine doctor visits for chronic conditions can feel hurried. Arriving prepared with clear notes on symptoms, recent changes, and targeted questions yields more productive appointments. Self-advocacy improves care. It is not conflict. It is essential for effective long-term management. Caregivers also need support. Witnessing a loved one's ongoing discomfort is emotionally taxing. Recognizing that progress is uneven and fluctuations are normal helps set realistic expectations. Supporting caregivers ultimately benefits the person with neuropathy. Over time, the strength of small constructive choices becomes evident. Those who steadily prioritize metabolic stability, regular movement, good sleep, and emotional well-being often see slower progression and fewer complications. Symptoms may persist, but they become more manageable. Life remains active and meaningful, rather than increasingly limited. The most powerful realization is this: neuropathy is something you have. It is not who you are. You remain a person with history, relationships, abilities, interests, and goals. Holding that identity prevents the condition from claiming more of your life than necessary. B vitamin status warrants early and regular monitoring. Testing B12, folate, and B6, particularly after age 50 or with medications like metformin or acid reducers, can detect deficiencies before serious nerve impact. Early correction, via diet, sublingual forms, or injections when indicated, reinforces myelin maintenance and repair systems, increasing nerve resilience. Hydration, sleep, and stress management serve as foundational preventive measures. Daily adequate water intake keeps blood thin and microcirculation healthy. Consistent quality sleep safeguards the nightly repair phase when inflammation falls and insulin sensitivity rises. Simple stress relief methods, deep breathing, short walks, time in nature, curb chronic cortisol rises that elevate glucose and worsen insulin resistance. For families, prevention yields collective advantages. Many nerve-protecting habits also lower risks for heart disease, cognitive decline, type 2 diabetes, and other age-related issues. When older relatives embrace earlier meal timing, gentle regular movement, lower heat cooking, and nutrient awareness, younger generations often adopt them naturally. Children and grandchildren learn that metabolic health is built daily, not lost suddenly in later years. Discussions about neuropathy can move from alarming warnings, "You don't want to end up like this," to empowering guidance. "Here's what I wish I'd started sooner." Sharing straightforward changes, family walks after dinner, gentler cooking, makes prevention feel accessible rather than daunting. Screening matters too. Routine monitoring of fasting glucose, HbA1c, and, when feasible, post-meal levels can detect early metabolic shifts. Even within normal ranges, a gradual upward trend over years can prompt small adjustments before irreversible damage builds. Inquiring about B12 and other nerve support nutrients at checkups is another easy preventive step. One of the strongest preventive mindsets is curiosity over resignation. Instead of accepting nerves just fail with age, those who remain curious about how daily choices shape biology make more protective decisions. They observe how foods, late eating, or routines affect energy, sleep, or subtle foot sensations. That awareness fuels consistent improvements well before symptoms demand attention. Prevention is not about perfect execution or halting all decline. It is about gathering small protective elements year after year so the downward trajectory becomes far gentler. Someone in their 70s or 80s with only occasional mild tingling, solid balance, and reasonable sensation has typically followed these principles quietly for decades, not through extreme measures, but through steady habits. This information is neither secret nor overly complex. It draws from decades of research on metabolism, glycation, inflammation, nerve biology, and aging. What has often been lacking is a clear, practical way to connect these elements, especially for people over 60 facing symptoms or supporting loved ones who are. Peripheral neuropathy need not be a mysterious or unstoppable verdict. It is a delayed signal, a warning that the internal environment has drifted too far from balance for too long. The encouraging truth is that the same environment that permitted damage can usually be gently redirected toward conditions that slow, stabilize, or partially restore function. You do not have to reverse decades of change overnight. You only need to stop contributing to the problem right now, and continue that tomorrow, and the next day, and onward. Every hour of steadier blood sugar, every gentle walk, every better night of sleep, every decrease in inflammation casts a small vote for nerve preservation. Over months and years, those votes accumulate. They do not erase all prior damage, but they rewrite the narrative. From inevitable worsening to managed stability, from resignation to realistic hope, from helplessness to meaningful influence. That shift from nothing can be done to I can influence quite a lot is where genuine change starts. And once it starts, it usually continues.